Namaste, beloved ones. Welcome to Shri and Kira Live. I am wisdom teacher Shri Ramka.
And I am Master Lady Kira Ra, and we are honored to be here in our 20th year carrying the voice of passionate action into this extraordinary moment of co-creative manifested blessings. I think that's just the only word we can offer is the word blessings. Now look, huge show today, huge energy today, so much so that we're back up in our studio because this graphic, thanks Jess, matters.
Yes.
And the energy of the ascension of this moment matters. The moment we are in matters. You matter. And we just want to say right at the beginning, thank you for supporting this show. Help others find this show. Make sure you've subscribed to Official Shri and Kira here at YouTube, and make sure you have discovered Oneness Talk Radio. Make sure you're subscribed over there as well, and that you've checked out onenesstalkradio.com, because this is the moment. And so much is saying, hey, what are you willing to do about what's going on? And we got a lot to share, including all those April predictions. OMG.
Indeed, a big show. We're at the cusp of April coming in strong, and that brings a fresh energy to be conscious of. And speaking of being conscious of, consciousness is your birthright.
Yes.
Where you place your attention is your choice.
Breathe that.
So,
Why don't you say that again? I just think I'll say it again, all right? I mean, let's just hear that one again and breathe as you hear it. Consciousness is
your birthright.
Woo!
And where you place your attention is your choice.
Consciousness is your birthright. Where you place your attention is your choice. The blessing of the awakened experience in this realm of potentiality through conscious self-ascension.
And conscious self-ascension is just that. You know, so many people talk about, I want to lift my vibration, I want to ascend, etc., etc.
Okay.
It's
not hard.
It is what you came here to do.
Oh, it's so true.
So whether you do it over a lifetime or 1,000 lifetimes is your choice.
And they're all good, right? They're all good. And that is the blessing of this moment. I want you to just right now stare right here. You know, Shri and I are very blessed right now. We're both kind of sitting here at either end of this pyramid, and we are going to get up later and do a lot more. But this is where we're at. This just happened.
Yes.
That came in on that incredible full moon of March is when we got to this moment. And there's so much to share about this. And before we go any further with any of what's going on right here, I do want to remind you that Shri and I really enjoy that this show is often crafted by you, and that at any time, if you have the question we're talking about, if you're catching us live, and I hope you are, because we're at noon Eastern time every Sunday, make a note of that. So if you're catching us live, throw your questions into the Q&A, into the comments over at Official Shri and Kira YouTube, because Jess Jutinen, president of Abase International, is in there. Hey, Jess.
Hi.
And all of the other amazing beings, most likely Dana's in there from down here. It's clinic day here at Tosa Blue Mountain. Kyla, of course, at the clinic as well this morning. All of them right here on site. But Jess is the one that can funnel your questions to Shri and I, because we are not in those rooms. We are broadcasting you via a whole different system so that we can really be present with you. And so remember, if you have those questions, make sure you get them to Jess, and she will forward them in the flow that we have to receive them from her.
It is our sacred intention to be authentically clean.
Yes.
To radiate to you wisdom and pure energy that will serve as a reminder of what resides inside of you. We're all reflections. We are all reflections.
Yes.
And whether we're reflecting the divine light that is the essence of who we really are, or whether we're reflecting something that was radiating from the outer world that we're choosing to amplify, you're still reflecting, are you not?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so as we get into talking about April and talking about consciousness.
And this, I'm going to get up and move my chair because you really need to see it.
Well, we invite you in the chat over at YouTube, throw your questions in should you have them. And otherwise, be be present and enjoy, because our intention is to provide you with the joy that you can enjoy.
I love that. And Sri, if you would just scooch over if you like.
Yeah.
I do want to explain this to everyone. And so, but I was going to turn it maybe this way so we can still see more.
See the graphic?
There we are. Okay, so I'm going to actually get all the way out of the frame. Sri, maybe you want to as well.
Sure.
Okay.
I got to go that way.
This way, yes, so they can really see it. Thanks.
All right.
We did not rehearse. This is why it's live, guys.
Yeah.
I know. And so I want to first point out to you, and then we will put the graphic up without Sri and I in the middle of it. However, I want to show you something. So before I stand there, do you see this pillar of light? You see that? Okay. And you see the open eye. And then I want you to see the greater consciousness expansion. Almost looks like a brain, doesn't it? But this is nothing to do with density, but this is that greater consciousness expansion inside of the open, ignited one, standing in their ascended presence, sustaining, you see the outer loop here, you see that outer sphere, sustaining the fifth dimensional conscious awareness to ignite this, the sea of neutrality. And you see that? So that's where we actually are. And if you've been following on the up-level calendar, then you know exactly, right, where we are. And if you haven't been, go get the up-level calendar, and I'm going to show it to you in a moment. But, Sri, can you grab my chair? I want to...
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I want you guys to see this. Okay? So this right here was where we were back in February. This is the first crystalline moon ignition. So when this crystalline moon ignition came in, through that month of February, it opened this beautiful, isn't that beautiful? This beautiful golden ignition of light. Now that golden ignition of light is coming in from outside of this realm of density. So that makes you just go, how the fuck do I believe this shit, right? I know you're thinking that. And I know there's those of you that aren't, but you know, Sri, come.
Okay.
So we're going to stand here together, and I just want to make sure that we still see that. I'm going to scooch.
Scooching.
Here, this means we have to be closer together. No, you want to put your arm around me. That makes it easier, doesn't it? I think so. There we go. Does that work for you guys? I hope so. So right here, when this first crystalline moon opened up, that golden ignition came in, and all of the ascended numerology, and whether you see this month, everything came forward out of the universe and said, look, February, March, and April, these 3 full moons are going to form the pyramid, right? And I'm like, if we put our head, you put yours down on me, there we are, we're a little pyramid, right?
Yeah,
so it's going to form.
This is fun.
This is fun, right? It's going to, and so what we're doing is we're floating on the sea of neutrality. And I really want you to feel that, because that's what's happening right now when that superior conjunction of Jupiter amplified. Remember, we hit March where about Shri's head is. You see that circle? That's the March. That's the March. So we're still spinning in this, and these all spin, right? These are all spinning energies, because to keep them sustained means that we have become that 0 point energy field through our steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. So now when I stand, and I'm going to just do this so you can see Shri too. Here, I'm going to get lower. Okay, so when you stand like this, there we are. Right here, you see my arms? February, April. This was the ignition of the first crystalline moon. April, this coming April, we're coming right up on it, I'm going to show it to you, will be the ignition of the heart moon. And how that heart moon anchors will be the foundation of what just happened here in March. But in order to harvest this power, we must all open our arms, knowing that from April until this seals in September, everything that is coming in, everything that is filling this, is coming from how open our hands are. Are we willing to stand in full service to all? Are we willing to be that which I am? And to bow before the mastery of the one. As the all, unified, always one, and always all. So that the aspects of unity are outside of ego and have the courage to sustain the sea of neutrality. So I want you to breathe that in and to really feel the ignition of this, which is why Shri and I had to activate it. And now we're going to put up just the graphic. We are always one, are we not? We're always here. We're not going anywhere. It's how we allow ourselves to be. Breathe. Welcome to April. Yeah, it's one hell of a month. Let's put up the graphic.
Sure.
All right. Breathing. Ave Sa. Here it comes. All right. Nope. It's the graphic of this that we were just looking at, sweetheart. I don't know. You said you had it. That's it. That's it, sweetheart. That's it.
That one.
Yeah.
There it is. Yay.
So they're just seeing that, not us, right?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, so this is that moment where sincerely now insert you. So what you were just witnessing, and I really encourage that you're going to want to come back to this graphic often. And as you do, look at that pillar right now. Look at the pillar. And as you look at the pillar, look in the center of the eye. Go right into the center. Because this is where humanity is right now. This is where you are. And it doesn't really matter if you think you know that or not. That is what is in this moment. Breathing in. I want you to look up to that top circle and you notice that March, because remember that top circle is March, but we just created that beam that's going to ignite the April heart. That's coming out of the very center of that top circle. So see where the two meet as a pyramid. Breathing in. Breathing out. Let your eye go outside of that circle and look at the full moon. Look at the full moon. It's just sitting right there saying, I am here. Remember that this is all about the full moon and that we are gazing at where we are going to be in April. All right. So how are you feeling? And again, right now, and you see the pyramid energy in here?
Yes.
The lotus energy in here. So where did all of this come from? You know, if you're new, if this is the first time you've been in our show, if you don't know that much about the Yoga of Self-Ascension, hey, congratulations for finding your way here. Believe it or not, you will understand this. If you found it at some point, you're going to be like, I actually understand this. But like all of us, you begin with going, okay, I'll hang out, I'll listen, and thank you for doing that. So Shri, let's show them. Do we have the March calendar still by any chance? The March up-level calendar?
No, I can dig it out.
I'd like you to, but so we're just going to go to no, sweetheart, we're going to go to the April calendar right there.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so here we are. We're in April. And so now that we're in April, this is really important to understand because look at this week. Here we are right now on that very first Sunday, that would be today, right? It is March 27. So you can see that we are, and we're at the top of this energy. You see what's happened to that energy that you were just in when I was showing you the other photo, the other graphic. So what's going to happen this Friday on the 1st? Not only are we in ignition. This is show me your cards. April is all hands on deck. Stop calling your bluff. Up the ante. Put down your best deal because this is it. This is the month. This is the month that it's all collectively saying, Master, the golden light that started with that March experience, and we have the March up level calendar right now.
Yeah,
I'm seeing,
hang on.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the April for a moment because I want you guys to remember.
Take a peek here.
Because that is, there it is. All right. Are you guys, they're seeing that?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay. So here's where we are. Look at March 27. You see that? So as you would overlay the energy of April into that graphic, you notice that we are coming in on the sea of neutrality. And that on the 29th of this month, the root chakra of the body of form is really going to invite you to know the peace that you are. And I mean the peace that transcendeth all understanding, the peace that spins your root center into the ascended heart, which you look back at the middle of the month on the 15th, which was when you started dancing into that full crystalline moon of the 18th, which brought us to the sealed pyramid. And if you look up at the 5th, remember, in the energy of eternal life, that superior conjunction of Jupiter came in from outside all of this. Now that you understand what you're staring at on this graphic, that superior conjunction came in from outside, and that's how this amplification got you through to the moment of the full moon. And you've made it, because from the full moon of February, and we talked about this, if you don't remember or you're just catching up, please go watch our shows. But when I offered you the February revelations, the one thing I said then was that this was going to be a 3-month period of forgive them, they know not what they do. Love them, they know not what they do. Yeah. This is a moment that is inviting those of you that are saying the words to go outside of your ego and really do something, because it's just the right thing to do. And I will tell you, from personally carrying that torch alone for over 24 months, it is not easy. People really want their ego. And I want to give you a great example. And actually, Sri, I'm going to have him talk about it, because we were having this conversation earlier today, and it brings us into the consciousness of this moment. Because remember, this was your safety net. And the way I like to describe it is this entire pyramid that we've been opening, that we started talking about, would begin with the February crystalline moon. That would come to the March crystalline moon. Only time we have an anchor energy that was needed. There are no doubles in this year except for the February-March moon that needed to anchor to birth the heart. We got to make it to the April full moon to birth that heart. And then it's about all of us literally being this. I am here. And this is not a surrender. This is power. And I want you to really breathe that in, because that's what this is about. It is about claiming your empowerment through the peace that sustains the ascended heart. Because that heart moon, the energy of that heart moon, what we will be posting the article about, can humanity accept peace? Yeah. I want you to really breathe that in, and to really call that into a personal moment first. Because it really begins with, can I accept peace? And I want to bring this full circle back to a conversation my husband initiated earlier today, which is, many of you are going to be asking about the density potentiality that is playing out right now. And this is the potentiality that we did talk about would happen. We put this out in 2015. If you've never seen our 7 polarities of free will, we didn't predict it. I simply wrote down everything that the Ascended Masters allowed me to see and put down. And so the reason we're in this potentiality right now is 100% based upon the limited view of the all. And it brings us to this moment on the globe right now where we're going to be facing very shortly a global wheat shortage. And it's why we're facing this and how we've gotten here that will come full circle back to consciousness. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute to tell me again. Sure. and bring me up to speed, because it was really a very important, really salient point for this April energy of, can we accept peace?
We all can look at the surface information, and then if we feel called, we can look a little deeper. Because sometimes what is deeper is actually more encompassing than what's on the surface.
Yes.
Still waters run deep, I hear.
Yes, we do.
And so one of the things I just want to share is that when this war broke out in the Ukraine, of course, there was some immediate reaction in the news around oil and then later on around wheat. But here's the aha moment that I want to bring forward. Is Russia and the Ukraine provide about 25% of the world's wheat production.
So just first breathe that in, because if you didn't know that, that's a quarter.
Yeah.
for the entire globe. So that's really important to pay attention to.
And there are several countries that fully depend upon them.
100%.
And so there's several African nations that depend upon that. And I think got the news that Egypt decided not to export any wheat because they were looking ahead saying we may not have enough for our own population. So without going down the road of fear and lack, just observing that what's going on, and it brings me to a recognition. The wheat on our planet, in large part, is used to feed cattle.
So breathe in for one moment, connect the dots on this, because we're getting ready to enter a moment where there will be starvation on the planet due to the length of and the way that this potentiality is currently playing out. And this is why it's so important to hold that higher consciousness of the sea of neutrality so that we can, through non-interference, sustain the balance so that that imbalance does not need to manifest. It is never about interference. Right. It is always about sustaining the balance. And so here's what Sri and I were having this conversation. So if 25% of the world's wheat production comes from these two countries, these two places, and we have some countries that are 100% dependent upon that, and resources that would make sure and ensure that there was enough for all are being diverted to a food source that also destroys the planet. Yeah. Lift your consciousness, and rather than get mad about that, sincerely voice a passionate action here, tapping on the shoulder. You know there are enough resources for all. We all know that. That is not the point. And here's where it's going to go first, full circle to consciousness, right? Let's go to Einstein in this moment. Let's lift our consciousness. Let's expand beyond the limitation. Let's be in this sea at the top of the open moment of our own eternal nature, right? That's saying, here you go. Here you go. And when you gaze at this with the higher consciousness, what you notice is that until we can stop killing animals, we will never stop killing each other as a species.
Let's say that again.
So until the species can stop killing other species, we will never, as a species, be able to stop the energy of killing each other. Yeah. And this then moves to the belief systems that have been perpetuated through our co-creative power in this experience of potentiality, that with complete conscious awareness of the few that have already resolved and absolutely can sustain the planet, the resistance that is around this is coming from a consciousness that is terrified of change. And when we, through our awakened one presence, can ignite into the divine mastery presence in form, the mastery of the Yoga of Self-Ascension, then we can sustain the all through the balance until we can each agree through conscious awareness that each has the right to be.
Each
has the right to be. They don't have to agree with you in density. It is the consciousness that all have the right to be. For when we see that and hold that for all, that is when we will be able to immediately see new ways and solutions that are met with open arms. And so right now, the February, March, April is about learning how to stand with open arms through the levitated moment of consciousness. Because the feet, look at from April to September, this isn't about pounding your feet in the mud. This isn't about pounding your feet in anger. This is about living the transcendent shift, modeling that shift. And it's about coming this way fully armed. This is not a surrender. This is a moment of presence. And I want to show you that really powerfully now that we had a moment to look at that March experience, and you also saw the April up level. I want to show you Do we have the Ascended Numerology for April? Yeah,
Yes,
right
we
there.
do.
In living color. Hey, guys, because it's really about color. You know, here at Toast of Blue Mountain, even, we're getting murals everywhere right now. It's like color, 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 color. Even our Temescal, wait till you see it. So, OMG, right? I mean, Shri, when you look at the clock, and just do that, guys, right now. Let go of your brain, let go of understanding. Even close your eyes again if you have to, and then bring a hand to your heart, nice deep breath, and then open your eyes and notice what happens when you gaze at the clock.
You know, the activity that is represented there is saying we are all transiting. We are all being affected. Mm-hmm. And of course, my eyes, when I open my eyes, I head over there to the 10 because of the energy that is drawing me there.
And you'll notice, Shri, that 10 is actually April 30th, which is, and I think this is really important because when you gaze at that, right, when you really gaze at that 10 for you, remember that's where we're going to be left when we move into the May. And that's really important because that's going to be like our first leap into that void of literally walking on the water of the sea of neutrality from April to September and holding that energy and holding that frequency for all, because the April to September danced through to the equinox is beyond powerful. And I really want to bring this to you guys' attention. Notice the 4 to the 9. Okay. We all know that April is the 4. So April at the end of the day with 2022, so not April on its own, April 2022 is the 4 plus the infinite. So this month is saying, hey, pay attention to your root, pay attention to your balance. And I want you to, as you're looking at that 4, bring your eyes over to the experience of the master in form for the month of April. This is how this energy is overlaying on the body of form that you are blessed to be with, that is co-creating with you. And you will notice, where is that 4? It's your creation. It's your peace. It's the peace. It is, can we be at peace? But, and I love that, the but here, because it's a fabulous one, is that you must take it into the infinite realm of trust. You must take it into the infinite realm of trust, where it immediately comes back in, and check this out, as April 1. So not only is April itself the root center of the physical body saying, look, if you're ever going to do it now. Are you ready to live that life of I'm glad I did or I wish I would have? Because it's all going to be about that root center. And if your root center is in its ascended state of being, which means you've taken it out into that infinite presence as the anchor of your ascended presence, then your high heart is the new moon. Check that out. So let's go back live for that, Shri, because I want you guys to really get that, right? Your high heart is the energy of the new moon this Friday. So right now, because that's right here, right there, right? That's when we're really into this April moment right here. And so this is really important. This is that final moment of this beautiful March. See that? Again, that's been receiving all of your higher vision, all of your higher creation. You see how you've been. And this always reminds me, Shri, every time I gaze at this, I just want to always remind people of the story of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And you know what a Shiva Linga is, and I won't take time with that, but if you really don't know that story, go look it up. Yeah. Because one went up and one went down into what was the limitless creation. One came back and lied, one did not. And Shiva arose through this moment with all. And so that opened eye is your arrival and your ascension, and your ability to say yes to navigating in the transcendent state through the entire April to September experience. And that's not going to be that easy, but it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun because when that April heart moon ignites, which is this final circle down here, it's like the fun begins. It's like we're all on this boat together going, hey, how's it going down there? You know, what's going on over there and what's going on over there? It's that moment to see who else is navigating and how can we come together to build our island that eventually will be the bridge that will make it to September, when all are able to walk and be one with this unified spirit, because it will be this unified spirit that will arise and lift all of humanity from September until we get to the year's end. So it's really an extraordinary month, isn't it?
It's an extraordinary month. We're in
Yeah.
an extraordinary year.
Yes!
And, and I want to come back to a couple of basic understandings,
Please do.
a couple of basic teachings. And the first one that I want to remind you is that your personality self, your ego, is a lens of convenience for interacting with the world. We train our egos. We enculturate them. You have the family of origin, the culture of origin, the religion of origin, the nation of origin, etc. All of those things train the ego on how to conform and behave.
Right? And then we give our power to it.
And if you think that's
Yeah.
all you are,
Exactly.
then the ego is governing your experience
Oh, yeah.
through that lens.
Yes.
As opposed to being one possible way of having experience. Do you see the difference here? So our world is being stimulated through fear and other forms of chaos to activate the ego to govern more fully. Mm-hmm. Because an ego that is activated is not only compelling for the consciousness of the individual, but it's easily manipulated.
And guys, I want to, from my heart to yours, right? And before we share a little of this, I do want to share, Jess has sent us some of your sharings, and I think it's really beautiful for those of you that are not catching us over at YouTube, official Sri and Kira, make sure you've subscribed.
Yeah.
Can I read some of this?
Yeah, please.
Because it's just beautiful sharing. And so this community, every Sunday when we are with you, we are enriched by the blessing of you. So thank you. And all right, from the cosmic knowing, gratitude, universe, and loved ones. Grand rising, cosmic stars. We rock the realm-wide center. Are we ready for serenity? Exactly. And that's why we have so much to share about, is humanity ready for peace? Because remember, it is the foundation. It is the foundation of self-ascension. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Here's another one. Gracious love. We all shall be vegan, vegetarian soon. Yes, however, it will require the rise in consciousness that goes beyond just wanting to keep your own community or your own town or your own state or your own country safe. It's the consciousness that realizes that every being deserves to be safe to be. And that when we can all lift our consciousness, I'm going to go like this because there's the march. Feel that energy, right? Zoom, right? So when we can all lift our consciousness to the moment where we really can be strong enough, and I'm going to share a story with you in a moment about that, be strong enough to really own that we invite all to be. It does so without any ego or sense of how it will affect the self. Here's one from Elizabeth. Deep ruby ray, all loving, compassionate, and exposing love into this entire situation. I send fierce love into the hearts of those in power, and holding all in all's highest state of beingness. Beautiful, and lots of beautiful emojis. From Gary. Hey, Gary. It truly blows my mind that I totally forgot the miracle of life, right? Especially since everything in physical and non is an absolute miracle. Amazing. So.
Yes.
Yes. Aho. Amen. Amen. All. And I do, I promised you guys a couple stories, and Shri and I have a couple of really beautiful things that came in that are really part of this. Can we accept peace? Can humanity accept peace? And you all know, and I pray you know, and I pray that you were there, and if not, that you've at least gotten the video. You must get the videos. But this past weekend was a miracle in so many ways. The people that came forward, the miracles that happened here, the way that people came together, and the revelations for us all. Including Shri and I personally. And, one of the things that happened was in the coming together, in the honest integrity of this event, which is now its second. It's the second year in a row it has now happened. And what will be happening in September will be even bigger. And what's going to be happening in June in Mexico. But what has happened is that there has been a real life experience of living the mastery of the Yoga of Self-Ascension and of non-compromise of of naked authenticity, regardless of the perceived, quote, circumstances. And, one story is that during this weekend, someone that we only knew via one Zoom call showed up and demonstrated for so many and for everyone that was here the blessing of what happens when we give away our power to myth versus the truth of our heart. When our consciousness, everything Shri was just sharing, when our consciousness says, if I see a picture that looks like this, and if somebody says these words that were written thousands of years ago during a whole other time of consciousness and awakening that was needed on a planet of form, maybe it's time for those words to up-level. Maybe it's time to have that literally put in your face and see how many of the world's leaders or ordained leaders from a clergy of a dogmatic, established religion, how eager they are to anoint chosen ones to keep those who are easily fooled, entertained, and distracted. And this became so evident that along with myself and other authentic leaders that were here, we could not be at the one thing that was honored. Our producer out in California has no idea how, but Zoom did not record it. After this person made their presentation, a windstorm came in like we have never seen and completely swept clean the area where the ceremony had been held, including our brand new sails came down over it to say, this is gone. And the reason I share that with you is that Shri and I literally expelled that energy from Tosa Blue Mountain and invited it off our property. And the reason we're sharing this with you, and then afterward, doing this because of the energy we were carrying, afterward, someone we adore and honor and whose ceremonies I pray you see in the video over and over again, Cesar Maynor, son of Umbatsman, a dear, dear family member for Shri and I, he and his beautiful wife, Fani, he said, I was so aware of this that I chose to leave. And here is the gift of this message for you. We are not judging it. We are simply saying that there are teachers for every level of consciousness. And that Tosa Blue Mountain literally expels those that come from an ego-centered base of money, fame, and dogma. I was so grateful for this experience because I've never seen such ego. I've never seen such arrogance. And I've never seen such righteousness. And then it was so beautiful to see that there are leaders for every experience of consciousness. And I was so grateful that I really bow before the mastery of that one that was here, also reminding me of the years when I was that woman in the battered marriage, when I was that one that had the husband that was, I was in such a battered woman situation, and looking at her, knowing that when you are in that situation, male, female, whatever gender you are, whatever you are, whenever you are in that situation, you need to know you have the power to end it this second.
A choice.
This second. And this is what Shri was saying earlier. It is, I lived it. I lived 7 years of what I always tell people was a bad B movie, right? I mean, ending with the FBI knocking on my door while I am holding my 3-week-old daughter in my arms, telling me I had been my husband's cover for 7 years. So you want to talk about the wake-up call. And so what I can share with you right now is that when I see that in front of me and I witness that, my arms are always open, but only you can say yes. Because you cannot talk to anyone about any form of abuse until they are able to see themselves. How many times did I leave him? I don't want to count. So all I'm sharing with you is that is the self-sabotage cycle. And Shri, can we show them the density trifecta? Because in April, this moment right now, and this is why we've been talking about this, remember that the density trifecta sustains and creates the self-sabotage cycle, which always requires some form of abuse. So if you are in any abusive situation, no matter how ascended you think your consciousness is, you cannot go beyond because that cycle is still playing out. That master, if you look through those words self-sabotage there and you see behind it that beautiful master you are, that's the peace. Can humanity accept that peace? That's what we're talking about. So, Shri, I want to show them one more graphic. It's this one, the March full moon up level. There we go. All right. I want to bring you back here because now you see what is happening. We, in January, if you look up at the top left, we had that first full moon up level. Remember, the entire year, that first, I keep calling it that big Tibetan bell on the mountain, right, Shri, right?
Yeah.
That big gong, right? And so we're at that big gong. And that is, for the entire year, can humanity survive dogma? And that's why this person was put in front of us so clearly to see that there are many, many traditions that are saying absolutely not. We want this tradition, we want to do it this way, and we don't care. We will go down swinging because we only believe that we have the right. And this is part of that egoic filter that is still in many of the world leaders. And this is why many indigenous leaders are rising beyond the ego. And so in February, we inserted acceptance as an energy into the field of the whole year. So on top of the inquiry of surviving dogma, we began to start seeing the acceptance, but that first acceptance begins at the level of alchemical transformation. And all these articles are at shriankira.com. Go read them. And then we've been in this ignition, and you see how we just hit the top. That was right there, that full moon. And that is when we opened the greatest expansion of consciousness ever in the energy of this Jupiter experience, which brought in from outside our realms of consciousness. And now we're racing toward April as we move from our co-creative power, harvesting that energy into our co-creative power and sealing it with momentum.
Yes, indeed. And, and one of the things that's important to remember is that the energies of these times are here to support you. And sometimes we feel confronted because the ego personality that was a default way of interfacing is going, wait a minute, this is outside my control, or I want to be able to manage it, and
right.
The excitement energy that is really fear bubbling begins to dominate our field of understanding. One of the questions that came in was asking about a practice. And
all right, and we just got some more questions in, so let's weave those in. Okay, which one are you going with? Okay, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I want to show you the Pyramid of Spiritual Awakening
This is so important, Shri. Thank you. Oh, my God.
And it's important to recognize that the bigger bottom half of the pyramid is bigger because this is where everyone enters their life, their individuated life. They enter with density. And they enter into the body, into the form. And as they begin to get and understand that there's more going on than just me, there is an us here that is participating, we move into the activism energy. And the activism energy is an opportunity to express love in the world, however it works through a filter of judgment. And the line you see on the Pyramid of Spiritual Awakening, that line that's there, is really the threshold for those of us that are choosing to live an ascended life. To be in ascension awareness is that spiritual detachment, that access of the peace and the joy that is available. And consciousness begins to organize around your authenticity rather than your ego. And that's a journey. it does take practice. It takes steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust in order to anchor in that ascension awareness. Now look off to your right here on this graphic, and you see that wonderful cycle of gratitude, giving, and receiving. And that's what I wanted to call your attention to today. Because if there's one thing that you can take home with you, it is the understanding that if we cultivate the energy of gratitude and the energy of giving and receiving, not just giving, giving and receiving, and be grateful for both, being grateful for the opportunity to serve, being grateful for the opportunity to receive, that this is like an engine of consciousness which creates an opening for the ascended state to become ever more present.
Now, I want you to all take in a breath now that you've seen that. And I'm just going to move here so Shri doesn't have to move as well. She don't hear as many chairs moving. But there's been a lot of questions that are coming in about the Sea of Neutrality and a practice to sustain in this moment. So if you're in our Divine Mastery Presence, the year-long up level we've been doing together, you already know what I'm going to share, and you might want to be doing this at home if you can. Stand up and do it. If you're able to stand up, you may want to do so as well right now. And remember that in the objective of April, it's really about this, isn't it, in our empowered state? Because this in our empowered state means my hands are a seed of creation that are capable of the miracles and I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this. So the first thing this practice does is begin with your hands right in front of you in the heart, right? Because this is also where that peace lifts. We lift that peace from the root chakra that is now sustained in the peace of knowing that the universe has got this, right? And so that energy has now all come into our heart as our new root center that does not need to be sunken into a planet. It is sustained so that we're lifting. We've been learning this. Sri and I have been teaching this since 2004, how to get to this moment. And so lots more we can share on that as well. So we begin here. And I want to make sure, there we are. So we begin here. And as we begin here, we move the hands with our focus, with all of our vision on our hands. This is the I. I am here. I'm going to do it again slowly. I am here. Okay? Because once you know it, I am here. And what's important to know, I'm going to bring my hands up to the camera, is this. It's about the thumb and the first finger. Let's see if I can, I don't know if I can get that to you guys, but it's, you see that? It's my thumb and finger like this, right? So it's, look, I am here. That, all that energy, all of that right there, holding at your heart, is the ignition of the Sea of Neutrality that can only be sustained through the full integration of your divine galactic blueprint, thereby this chakra, your ascended heart chakra, has received the energy from that first, second, and third of the traditional form as now the sustaining field of peace, love, and joy. That's what the Yoga of Self-Ascension teaches. That's what Sri and I have been doing, mastering for over 20 years. Get the free ebook, SriandKira.com. Go to our website. You can learn more about that. So it begins with that as the practice, just that basic, I am here. And then really holding that energy, standing with all of those nice straight energy, right? Feeling that, feeling yourself lifting already, feeling your feet chakras open, feeling that bliss. We take that thumb and first finger, right? So this is I am here, and it goes right there. And let's see, there it is. You see the collarbone, you see that? There's the U right there. And with these two fingers only, you ready? I am ready. I am open. Oh, I am here with you.
I am ready.
It is. Forgive me, guys, when I got really close to all of you. Thank you for being here. Yeah. So I am here, right here. I am ready. Got that? I am open.
Open the throat. Yeah,
Oh.
ready is opening the throat.
Okay, I am so sorry, God. Oh my God.
Forgive me.
I am ready, right?
I am ready.
I hope you're laughing. I am ready. Oh my God, are we ready? And you want to do that. And those of you that are in Divine Mastery Presence, you know a little bit more about what this is doing. But right there, I am ready. And then we bring out these fingers, right? And come back, middle finger first into prayer position. I am open. Let me come back, right? I am open all the way up. And then on the guide me, you need to roll the shoulders back. Guide me. And that really opens that. Mm-hmm. And you bring it here. That ignites that. And that's the peace. It's the peace of knowing yourself. You know, another little story Sri and I can share with you is through the experience of this past weekend, and sincerely, I think Jess might have put in already into the chat over there at YouTube, but if you weren't there this past weekend, if you have not already received the videos, go, it'll look like you're still buying the ticket. It means you're buying the videos. Go get them. You want to watch what happened. Go watch this YouTube channel, Sri and Kira official YouTube, official Sri and Kira. The Friday night opening, I believe, is still there. And notice the power and the people that came together, because they're a rare breed. So rare. And I'm so excited. You need to mark your calendars right now that for September, already confirmed live and in person, because this voice does need to grow, is Chief Phil, Faith Rivera, all of our dear friends from India. It's growing bigger. Audrey will be here live. And so in your heart right now, as we are at this moment of saying yes to a new heart, that April heart moon matters. And so someone was specifically asking about what is the sea of neutrality. And I want to see, I think I have, there it is, Shri, give me the Taurus ignition. Yeah. Okay, so there it is. Through the mastery of the Yoga of Self-Ascension, when that first, second, and third chakra transcend from the needs for safety, sex, and power to be our peace, love, and joy, thereby sustaining the physical body of form, we then are able to open up that ascended heart through our steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. That unifies our field into the one, and it becomes the framework of support that spins that Taurus field, thereby igniting the master I am. And once we have that ignited within, and we hold that open, we are able to lift beyond the one person experience, the witnessing. This is frequently the highest or the experience that many want to take you to, is where you can witness yourself. And that's, yes, that is, but that's just step one. The sea of neutrality has only come forward because we have literally ignited a ninth dimensional witness at the other side of this. And we have been talking about this since 2017, when that portal first opened as part of the 7-year escalator to ascension.
Yeah, it's the sea of neutrality is indeed a state of being, a state of consciousness that is accessible to all.
Whoops. We have cords everywhere. I'm sorry.
And that accessibility is a choice away. However, your framework of support, the steadfast commitment, and the focused awareness and the complete trust, steadfast commitment, focused awareness, complete trust, if we do not continually apply that intentionality, the ego experience will start dominating our field of attention and color the experience. I want to show you something here on the levels of consciousness.
This is really important. And now remember that pyramid of spiritual awakening. If you notice on the left, that's that same right there. Just that's the pyramid energy overlaid.
So one of the brilliant pieces of David Hawkins' work in doing literally tens of thousands of tests to create this map of consciousness is that all of those qualities that you see on the right side, starting at the very basest, most horrible feeling called shame, which is a self-judgment, I don't deserve to live kind of feeling. And you can see how it evolves up through guilt, apathy, etc. All of those feelings and states are of the ego.
Yes.
And this is something that in Hawkins' work wasn't made crystal clear, that it's only when we get up to 400, when we're up in the level of spiritual activism, where we begin to gain an understanding of the context of life that we're operating in. Below that level, we are in reaction to, and we're often dominated by those various states of being. So as we take a look at the Sea of Neutrality, it's accessible as we relax into the love, as we relax into the ascension awareness.
Exactly.
And that state of being happens when we discover for ourselves experientially that we are more than this ego, this body, these thoughts.
And that's really the essence of April.
Yes.
Can humanity, can I accept peace? The peace that invites you to expand beyond the limitation of a belief system that is still based upon the egoic filter of the I. Something that says, maybe what was really good for those 2,000 years is showing us what's good now. Shri and I had the blessing last year to first be invited by the Ascended Masters for me to dive into the I Am books and up-level them. And today, Alice Bailey called to us and showed us where we are to assist. We are at a moment where this depends on you. Remember, this is about the greatest expansion in consciousness that has ever been. The activity we take right now to ignite the stabilized heart that allows us to together navigate the Sea of Neutrality without being drowned through it, and to clearly stand in our empowerment is the moment. There is so much more to share. Make sure you're with us next Sunday, where it's basically part 2. And if you are not part of Monday Magic, why not? Oh my God, a lot coming in. Stay tuned, guys. Get on our newsletter list if you're not on it. There's a lot coming out this week, more than we had time to get ready for today.
Yes.
That's how big this moment is. It's April, it's yours. What are you ready to really say yes to and let it come out? Because it's all cards down.
Yep.
All cards down.
To say yes is
no
not...
more bluffing.
Yes is not something we do one day a week.
Exactly.
Yes is something that we claim every waking moment to say yes to our guidance, yes to our hearts, yes to the peace, yes to the joy, yes to the ascended nature that is your authentic truth.
Yes. And I want to jump in real quick because we have to go off the air. To DL Malley, just saw your text come in. I want you to hear this. Right now, Dante is screaming at you from the higher self. You need to calm, go in, light a candle, and breathe and trust, because you're being up-leveled, as is all around.
Yeah.
Trust and listen. There's more going on. We love you, and I'm glad I got that right before we left.
Everything going on in this world is here for your expansion,
Can
for your
I
awakening.
accept peace?
Yes.
It's the peace that can never be disturbed, guys. We'll see you next week. There's another part to this.
Beloved ones, we love you. We are grateful for you, and we look forward to being with you